Lately it's looking like everything perfect. Out the mud with it, I put the work, and you can find me where the turf is. Pin precision like a surgeon. Bad ones used to curve me, showing up to the show when the curve split. She know that I'm worth it, I'm finna go from area. I got the hit stash, got a bracelet for impact. Real tricky, quick to flip a pretty penny to a thick stack, quick stat. Think fast and I talk real. I give a f about how they feel. Me and Zay drop the pro.
That's actually working. Zekro is finally able to pay off here. Nate drops down. He's
I've been the man with the blueprint. I'm gonna stop till I own every brick. I used to lay out in the lawn just to feel the world spin on its axis. Now I got the access and the last laugh, got it off of the passion. I keep it 100 on the dash now that we got us a
Welcome back, Valorant fans, to the Knights Arena Valorant Challengers North America. One series done, one that went the distance, and definitely a match with the potential to for our next one. It's OR Esports going up against FaZe Clan. This is so interesting, Tanner, because I feel like both of these teams so far have had quite an interesting split.
Yeah, you know, a team that we just saw in Turtle Troop, 2 of the players leave, they go play for FaZe Clan. And it's taken some time, but we've seen a lot of confidence and heard from the players. There's a lot of confidence for FaZe Clan. And on the other side, the way that OR Esports are playing, it would be hard to believe that they're not feeling confident.
100%. And looking into this matchup, let's start talking a little bit more about this FaZe Clan squad first, because this is one where 2 of their members, they took them directly from another team, but they're slotting in quite nicely. I'm talking about, you know, the 2 without the pictures here, Tig and Mame. It's quite interesting, especially too, talking to Mame last time we interviewed, talking about Tig taking a bit more of the IGL role, and then Poised here, Dan, doing a bit more of that mid-rounding, and hey, if it's working.
It is so interesting because from that week 1 to that week 2, it seems like they made that change and it just played out massively for that win against Mad Lions. I think the ideas in so many of these rounds were good, but also the biggest takeaway from it is not who's going to be IGLing, but the fact that there's multiple people with IGLing experience that are able to call that mid-round, they're able to call and bring out different ideas, and I feel like that is in so many scenarios something that teams are lacking, but this is already something that FaZe has from the beginning just because they picked up these players.
Yeah, and being able to get that win over Mad Lions last week, it was definitely a little bit of an interesting game at some points. I know y'all know what I'm talking about here, but hey, being able to get this victory and be moving on forward, Tanner, is just fantastic for the team and for that momentum going forward.
Yeah, momentum I think is key for that series alone. It wasn't the cleanest win. We saw some really strong performances. It was the first, like you mentioned, of Tig kind of filling that IGL role. I know in the first week when Tig joined the squad, Poised was still IGLing, but they're going back to the drawing board and they're seeing what works. We also saw a very confident Baby Bay. I believe Fracture was a map that they could have closed out. They end up losing it, but Baby Bay dropped 30 on Raze, a map that we expect the Neon maybe. Raze isn't what we've seen a whole lot from Baby Bay, so it was really nice to see that. They have a lot of flexibility in their roster too. So a strong roster, individual players, they just needed some confidence, and they get a nice fluffy game last week to earn their first win, and now they get to keep it moving forward.
And this is something that I wanted to talk about. What we see that tweet from Poise. It feels good to finally win again. Before that matchup and before the victory against Mad Lions, they were 0-5, 0-6 actually in the past 6 matches that they played, and they finally turned things around. That was actually in 2 months where they could not find a victory, and they were really struggling as a team. So it's nice to see exactly what Poise is saying. Finally finding that the victory that they were looking for. And yeah, it was a Mad Lions. It was a little messy at times, but it's the steps that you take to make this split to go your way.
Well, there was definitely somebody over on the squad that was making sure that a couple of these messy rounds could be cleaned up. And here I'm talking about Superman, because looking at the series last week, I feel like Superman here was just the epitome of clutch.
One of the things that I keep thinking about is look at the last stat, first kills versus first deaths. See, he got 6 first kills, and he is an incredibly passive player. So he's getting his first kills in really passive positions, and not once you saw him dying first. That is why we saw so many clutches, that 44% clutch percentage that he was bringing to the table, turning things around at the very end of the round, and just such a star player when he has to be. I think really understanding how his role of controller is going to play out and playing it to his strength until the very end.
Yeah, and being put on the Astra for the majority of the games last season, or last series, excuse me, having a Cypher game slotted in there. So we're seeing a lot of, you know, the flexibility again, the Gumby style that FaZe have when it comes to, you know, Mame needing to fill a role, or in this case, Superman needed to fill a role. They did so very, very well. And on top of fragging, on top of not dying, or I'm sorry, on top of not dying, he fragged. He's also the controller player. You couldn't ask for more from Supa, and Mummy even gave him his props too, right? Supa's crazy. The shots that he was hitting were out of the world last week.
I think the direct quote was that he's a beast. And I mean, we really did get to see it last week, and we'll have to see if that can continue up today going up against OR Esports, because this is a team like every team that we've talked about today that has had these changes coming into Split 2, but this really breathed the new breath of air into the team. We've gotten to see quite a drastic turnaround, considering that the Split 1 performance was, I mean, they went uncontested last in the group. Being able to see Physics IGLing for the squad was also someone that the team spoke really highly of here, Dan, of his IGLing capabilities.
Yeah, and it's nice to see this side of OR Esports that we've seen before, right? They've shown us that greatness that they can bring, but now it's in a more consistent way. Even last week, the match and the map that they played, 11-13, both of them that they lost against the Guard, I mean, really went as far as they could in regulation. And obviously the first upset match that they got against G2. So you can see how good and how clean it's looking for OR. And I feel like for this matchup, I think it's perfect to see how the ADS are going to match up to the aggressive style of FaZe.
And you never know what you're going to get. We've seen this team swap back and forth between Jonah 6 and Nilly, IGLing now Physic to do it. So it's nice to see that they can come out confidently with the new IGL and say, hey, this is working.
And Dan, you were talking about it, but we're bringing this up again to really just stress this, because our esports, Split 1, not great, but looking at these map scores, they went up against G2 first in Split 2, and then going up against the Guard. And the Guard is a beast of a team that's taken down a lot of talented players. So the fact that OR Esports was able to take these losses at 11-13 is really, honestly, speaks to where OR Esports has grown.
Going against the big names and absolutely putting up a fight against them, as he was, like he said, G2 and the Guard for week number 2. And now for this week number 3, still a FaZe that, even though they haven't had the best results recently, even for that first split and for the past couple matches, is a FaZe that with the changes have been improving, have been getting that first victory that they got last week. And they, like Tanner said, they have the confidence they can continue it going. So we got to see how OR Esports are able to shut that down potentially.
And we've seen, I guess, the competition. We expect the G2 to be a bit more fierce of a competitor. They've had a slow start. But in week 1, we see a strong first map, a weak second map, and then a very strong third map, which just tells me, you know, they're finding their footings. And then they play the Guard, and they go the distance against the Guard. My first glance for this OR Esports squad is they play to the level of their competitor, of their opponent, I should say. And so today, I think, is going to be a big showing of, is this something we can expect? Can we expect strong performances, or are they going to play what is assumingly down to the level of FaZe after playing the Guard last week? Or are they able to like break through that, play their own game, and have these decisive victories?
Yeah, it was something that Sean Garris talked about in the Spike Down video, like right before we started our show here, was still kind of curious about this OR Esports squad, in the fact that, hey, did the Guard just let off the gas a little bit? So I think today is really going to be third time's the charm, right, for OR Esports. So it'll be really exciting to see. But someone who has definitely stepped up here in Split 2, well, and it's Nilly.
And we got to see the teams that they went against, being G2 and the Guard, and the reason why those maps and those victories ended up going the way of OR, especially for that week 1, is this guy. Nilly has been so good consistently, and he is on the Sentinel role, something that we got to highlight early on today, with the massive role that it plays out to give those rounds for the set of OR. And Nilly is always at the top when it comes to kills and the information that he's helping his team get.
And there was a world right before for OR Esports, even though they went 0-5, they were still able to win some maps. They were able to have some close games. And that world that they were living in really felt like if Nilly doesn't do it, it's not getting done. And now it's completely different. This OR Esports team, everybody is having strong performances on each of the maps. There's only been a couple of times where it's taken heroics. It was actually that first map of Haven against G2 where Nilly was kind of out and ahead of the rest. A very consistent performer here. He no longer has that IGLing role on his shoulders, so he can really just play his role, and he's been doing so very, very successfully. So I love highlighting this player, but I'm glad at that the rest of OR Esports are really coming to, and when you're looking at the close games or the victories, you don't have these heroic plays where somebody has 9 kills and somebody has 30, right? Everybody's right in the middle. Everybody's doing their part. The cast is good. It's a very, very consistent OR Esports right now.
And that's an OR Esports now. That's 1-1 looking at split 2. Tied here with FaZe Clan in terms of series victories. So one of them going to be pulling up ahead today. We did get a chance to talk to the players, get their thoughts heading into our match.
I don't know what's going on. I think Baby is like an incredible player, and he has so much potential to just frag out. But for whatever reason, FaZe honestly does not look too great as a team. Like, I don't know if it's even before the 2 new pickups, they didn't look good. The 2 pickups they got now with Tig and Mame, I don't know what it is. Maybe they have growing pains now, but they still don't look very polished as a team, and they look very beatable. So I'm excited for the match. Very confident going into it.
I'm a fan of Pancakes and Jonah 6. You know, I've been trying to play with Pancakes since like Andbox days, and we were even trying to play with him on Turtle Troop. Like, he's a good player, and he keeps the mood up, and I enjoy playing with him, and I think the same goes for Jonah 6 as well.
I think they're very good. They're a very solid team. We're just gonna have to show up and play our game and play together. And I think our players, our players on our team are a lot better, in my opinion, mechanically. So we just need to come out and play together as a team, and I think we'll be fine.
No, I still think FaZe and our play styles are very different. I think our team is a lot more methodical and together, and just watching back FaZe's games, they look to do a lot of heroics, and they don't look very well coordinated. So I think we're very different, and it's gonna show like how much better we are in our match.
I'm gonna look out for Pancakes. I think his playmaking ability is crazy. He does a lot of crazy shit, and I applaud him for that. And also Zeldris, he's been on a heater. I think he's pretty nuts on that jet roll.
Yeah, so our keys to victory against FaZe is definitely gonna not let Baby Bay go crazy and take over the game, because he can easily do that in any match. He's just that type of player. And for us, it's just gonna stick to the game plan that we have with our IGL Physic and our coach Vapin, and we just play together. That's it. We play together more than FaZe, and we'll probably dominate.
Pancakes, you gotta change your name, bro. That's it.
Message to FaZe. I would just say to watch out for making those solo plays. I know we're gonna punish you guys, and you guys can try and do as many heroics as you want, but I know that we're the better team.
Love the call out on a little bit of difference of styles there, and direct words, hey, like, we're not gonna let you do the heroics, we're not gonna let you have those one-off plays. I'm definitely excited for this match, especially to where we're headed to first, because there's a map back in the pool that we haven't gotten to see in a while, and that is going to be OR Esports pickup. They talked about the fact that Bind's actually a really strong pick for them. They qualified off of this map, and they're not going to hesitate at this point, Tanner, to show us what they got.
Yeah, and I think the meta on Bind will probably remain relatively similar, at least from what OR Esports was playing, which I think bodes so incredibly well. Before they were playing Brimstone, Raze, Sage, Skye, Viper. Those picks are still going to be very strong, and lineup Larrys, right? That's what you can expect from OR Esports on this map. So if, there's a word of advice for FaZe, it's to keep that dive style, right? Even on defense, you have to push forward. You have to stop this Brimstone lineup, this Viper Molly lineup. It's probably going to be a very annoying map to deal with if FaZe allow that spike to get planted for free.
Especially, too, they talked about the fact that Zelda's just an insane raise over on Bind here, Dan. So, or definitely going to comfort in what they think's going to work. But even this map pool in general, this is just a complete throwback to the Valorant of old. I love this.
Yeah, that is true, especially when you get to see Bind and Split just next to each other. And going back to it, I think Split is a map that we've seen a good amount of times for FaZe in so many scenarios where they've been really, really close to closing it out. It recently found a little bit more success in that, but it's got to be, to me, a phase that started off dominant. I think we heard it in the video as well, especially from Jonah 6. There's a lot of confidence in this OR squad that if you want FaZe to win, it needs to be shot down.
Especially too, yes, it was a loss last week for OR going up against the Guard. They played them on Split and Haven. Those were the maps that really went the distance. They were so close. So this definitely is not an OR that is unpracticed on these maps, Tanner.
Yeah, it looked a lot better. I think that's the big takeaway from week 1 to week 2. Split looked a lot better. I think it was a pretty convincing victory for G2, 13-4, and then we get a 13-11 in favor of the Guard. Stronger team, but a stronger performance out of OR Esports. I don't know if they're gonna be ready though for what FaZe bring to this one with the Mummy, Raze, the Baby Bay Jet. That like the double dive. Sure, yes, we're expecting double dive. But it's the FaZe double dive. Jonah 6 talked about it, right? This team likes to play crazy. They like to play fast. They like to go for these heroics. And although you're going to be expecting that, sure, actually finding a way to deal with it is going to be a different story on Split.
Especially too, they also pinpointed the fact that FaZe has gone through a couple of these growing pains with the additions to their roster. But I feel like we got to see a couple of those pains kind of even out a little bit last week. And Dan, if they're already going through the growing pains, then what do we really expect then coming out of FaZe today?
Yeah, it's the same scenario as we saw for the match number 1, where it is now week 3 of Split 2, and you want to see how those changes and those little fixes that they've done are going to play out today for both of the teams. An OR that is coming really strong, a FaZe that also comes from a win, but a little bit more of a shaky one. And one of the things that is going to catch my attention here is going to be how the changes that they made are going to play into the compositions. FaZe, I remember all the way back into the Split 1, they actually were the first team to bring a Harbor into Icebox in Challengers, and that is actually one of those agents that is a possibility to see here on Bind that we've seen other regions play. We've seen it in the Tier 1 in America's League, and I feel like it's still a possibility on the table. If you want to bring a change, it's got to be on the new map.
I also think, although we don't get the Lotus, and we've seen OR Esports play the Lotus, Gecko is also a pick that didn't exist back when Bind was a thing. So there's a world where a Wingman finds some values in the changes, maybe out towards the A site, players pushing through showers and trying to find cheeky spike plants that way. So I guess we'll have to see what they lock in, but the world is their oyster.
Well, Bind is back with a couple changes. Time to see if our teams are going to change it up as we head into map 1 of our series. I will catch you two in a little bit.
Thank you, Sierra. Yep, not a whole lot changes here. The comp looks similar to what was being brought back in the day for OR Esports. The only change is Pancakes won't be rocking that Brimstone. So a little less of that post-plant potential, but they do still have Nilly rocking the Viper for that. And on the opposite side, a little more post-plant available. With Baby Bay back on that Raze, Dryad. That was a very scary performance on Fracture. Baby Bay went crazy.
It was one of the main things that we talked about last week. A Baby that we usually see on Jet, sometimes on Neon, but very rarely on this Raze. And he was performing. He was going insane when it came to the kills on this map and on this agent specifically. So I'm excited to see how it's going to play out for Bind, a map that we haven't seen in so long. And it's a phase that was always pretty much playing every single map in the map pool when it was available all the way back in the first split. But things have changed. They have different members now joining the side of FaZe, and I'm excited to see how they're going to play this map.
And both of these teams 1-1 in series score and 2-3 in map score. They'll have a chance here to separate themselves from one another right in the middle of the pack, where Group B is a little more defined. These are the only 2 teams 1-1. There's 2 teams 2-0 and 2 teams 0-2. As we pressure this B site for now. Trailblazer out. Paint Shell's right behind it. Zeldris pushing forward. That Decay breaks him down for just a second. He'll top himself off as that subsides.
Some early presence that we saw towards the A side for the defensive side. Doesn't find anybody as the spike is going to get planted on the B side.
And Zeldris wants to fight forward. Flex of the guiding light now pushing forward alongside Pancakes. And all 5 players coming from the top side of the map through the spawn. We'll have to work back into this B site, that being FaZe, as Mummy hops across. Flash out that new vent The guiding light gets traded on in response. Jonas 6 down to 35 HP. Looks to take the first fight. It's Pancakes to win it out as Baby Bay gets one back. 3 players inside the smoke. Baby Bay gonna go up top in its phase. We're finally starting to collect the kills, but as the poison orb goes down, it's OR Esports battling right back. A wall that goes up, but traps them in. There's nowhere to go, and there's no time on the clock. Paint shells on the ground. Zeldris will diff Baby Bay. 3 kills on the round, and it belongs to OR Esports.
I'm so excited to see the Raze v Raze, right? Soldiers and Baby Bay. It's one of the players that we've seen constantly making a difference for the team, that every time we get to hear from the players on those videos that we showed early on, they're always talking Soldiers, they're always talking Baby Bay, the impact that they have and how they can turn things around all by themselves. So a little bit of that we got to see early into the pistol round as it goes the way of OR Esports and try to build into more.
Blinded.
Zeldris coming into challengers, right? Having to qualify through the open qualifiers, was the best Raze player coming out of the qualifier. So a very familiar pick for this player. But you even heard on the other side, right? Mummy and Tig giving love to Zeldris' Jet and how he's been filling that role nowadays. So probably nice to go back to something that feels so incredibly comfortable.
It was a Soldiers that was playing Raze on Pearl when everybody was playing Jet, and he was still forcing this Raze and making it work out and going insane with it.
Good paint shells back and forth. Baby Bay makes it rain, and it does good damage. It splits up Zeldris from the rest of the team, and he's already fallen.
It's a good way for that duelist to go down. The defense tried to hold up close. There's a Vandal here for Superman.
And Zeldris dropped that one in a tricky position. Supa happy to secure that. No
30
worries,
seconds
Esports.
left.
Hut noise, but defense still here. Another cloud. Smoke comes down, or sky smoke, I should say. Jonas 6 physics. Oh, okay, just like that. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. Unfortunately, physics could not find another. That Stinger just couldn't quite do the job. But at the end of the day, damage done. Spike planted, but that Vandal can't be picked up. That hurts for OR Esports.
We gotta see how the buy looks for OR into that round, with how expensive it ended up being, having all the FaZe players on that B side. And one of the things that catches my attention the most is something that we hear from the players, Tig, saying that the FaZe players are better mechanically, and Jonah 6 answering right back saying that the side of OR is a lot more methodical. So you get to see this different clash of styles on this match in a way that we never saw before. This is one of the only combinations of teams that we never saw facing each other before.
Wall raised.
Yeah, so coming into this one, you have individual play versus team play. I think the big question is how FaZe start to look as a team as they continue to develop week after week. And we're still early here in map 1, but they find themselves 2 rounds down. Noise made inside Hookah from OR Esports, but they'll back away from that. Spike still flirting with the idea of hitting that B site, but they have not yet committed.
The Trailblazer in the meantime towards that A side, getting clear showers, and nobody's gonna be up close. The holding here of these positionings for FaZe have been so good. 45 seconds here to work with. Like you said, the Spike never really moved from that B side.
Neither did the defense.
Blinded.
Ooh, beautiful there. I mean, there is not much time
Now
for you
you
to
know,
still be lurking. So yeah, that guiding light
30 seconds left.
reveals so much for FaZe Clan.
And last time they could not hold it, but it was the pistols. Now they have a chance on this defense to stay alive. This is the problem. I mean, look at all the YouTube guys send backside every single time.
Yeah, beautifully timed incendiary. Finally, some kills go back in favor of OR Esports, but it's just not enough. 10 seconds on the clock. Paint shells will do the last lick of damage as Nilly falls to that, and FaZe are finally on the board.
In a very up-close position, as was the Sky, and catching a couple of the players off guard over the Mame as well. A huge difference maker when we got to see him last week playing against Mad Lions. And you can tell that the impact that he's had on this team and so little time, but it's been great to see now on the stage. That's not really gonna make any difference. He's still gonna be able to frag out and even shut down some of these plays that OR would like to do.
Barrier created.
Okay.
An interesting show of force to get started, and a rotation that will surely be cut off with Baby Bay tucked away inside the teleporter.
That's not even the plan here for OR.
Hawk out. Blinded.
No, not at all. Ready for this one too. Tig gonna play a similar angle to his teammate and Mummy in that last round. Supa does steal 1 life back though. It's Jonah 6 to fall. Good damage on the Physic as well. I mean, this was not a free site take by any means for OR Esports, and they're walking away licking their wounds.
But that's why you have to be careful, right? Superman was on that position the entire time, so passive and still manages to get the first kill. This is what he was doing against Matt Lyons. Still manages to stay alive. Yeah, and gets the second one too.
Launching smoke.
And there's not a whole lot to work with. No paranoia, no paint shells, no blast pack. Like, you just have to take the fights here. Resurrection to be used. Eldris will be held, and that's the round. FaZe hold on beautifully here in round 4.
Superman, what a difference maker for that round. Staying alive for a little bit longer. Now gonna have the orbital strike available into the round, and he was so good. He gets one. He plays a little bit more back, waits for everybody else to get into that positioning for that full retake, and it just plays into effect perfectly. One by one, the players here for OR get shot down, as now they're forced into an eco round.
And what do they have planned for this one? 4 players leaning out towards A, the 5th being Physic, bringing up the rear. He tossed out a guiding light out towards B long, and well, one avenue of approach just got shut down. Nilly gonna see that wall and look to link up with the squad. Meanwhile, the rest of the team working their way up. Paint shells to clear things out. They want to try and take this site fast, but that should slow it down. Out comes the rocket, but nobody home. Good paranoia to turn out the lights. Pancakes backside. Beautiful snake bite there, but Supa here for the trades. We go 1 for 1 thus far. Orbital strike looking to deny. They buy out the ultimate. Jonah 6 sneaks away with his life.
Oh. And it's just so difficult now. To get into this positioning, the orbital strike was the perfect tool here. To spend a little more time, and yeah, that TP is gonna get used. Going towards B, and the one that is already there is gonna be Tig.
Tig hung out the whole time. He had not moved. He was still sitting inside the spawn. Sky smoke, the dust
30
cloud
seconds
makes
left.
it a little uncomfortable for the players inside hookah. When they jump out, nobody's gonna be home. They'll get that spike planted, sure. It's what happens after that that makes this round surely
Spike
easy.
planted.
2 flashes for that Sky for Tig. Still gonna be available. So playing the way the Superman was doing on the round before, kind of waiting for everybody to get closer, and then going for the head, going for that flash first.
Flashed up, just about taken down. Jonah 6, the first one to go. The other 2 might just be corralled here, slowly working their way through the tube, and now it's all up to 1. It's Eldris, he pulls out the rocket. Oh man, he had a vision. Unfortunately, blinders brought down by FaZe, and they grab a lead.
The 3-2 lead for FaZe. And a buy that wasn't the best for OR, but for FaZe, hey, they're gonna take it with the patience as well. I think that's something that the FaZe has been really good at, and I know some teams have praised them for it. You think of the aggression that FaZe likes to bring in a couple of rounds, but also when they have to hold down into this defense positioning, like Tig was doing, they're gonna do just that. No need to go for the one and done play. It is not gonna give them anything more, and without the Seekers available for FaZe, for Tig specifically. And a fast play Torch Showers.
Ooh, baby bait. Only flashed. It was a minor one. He still goes down. Zell just able to capitalize. Pancakes goes into the back lines. Supa reveals his position, tossing out the incendiary. Smoke goes out. And they haven't quite committed to this one. Supa just going to push through. Doesn't matter. I don't care if the grape is there. Pops out, finds a kill on the pancakes. The rest of the defense is also here. And OR Esports feeling corralled. Shots through the teleporter. They do deal with Mummy. They're going to try and leave this one. They have time to do so. We'll see how FaZe read it.
And OR so far really struggling to get that space into the side. That's a problem with the utility, right, on the defense. And how proactive they are at sending those in one by one.
Sky's dead.
There's 2 players here.
Last player standing.
Oof, wow. Supa almost made that hurt. Narrowly missing the kill onto Nilly, who is good for 2 kills to work back into this A site.
30
Now,
seconds
boys,
left.
there's a tall task ahead of him with the resurrection used. Means 4 players stand tall here for the attack. And
Spike planted.
boys just going to try his hand at it, it looks.
Trying to get those one by one, those so difficult physic. Should be the first one here to make contact. Sends a flash the other way though, so not really sure it's gonna be here. Now they know.
Every angle needs to be cleared. All 3 players close to play off the contact to Jonah. Not even need it. Jonah will get it done himself, and the back and forth continues here on Bind.
An OR that was really struggling as he wanted to go for the faster hit into A with a double satchel into showers. He has the first couple picks, but still struggled to get it. So they went all the way back, and FaZe, they were going for the swing almost one by one. It made it impossible for the defense to keep the advantage that they had at some point. So OR, really good play there. The Viper's Pit now available on that side. And a chance now for them to take that lead. Viper's Pit for the defense.
And that's an interesting one.
Yeah. I'm just looking at that shape, like...
Time to hunt.
I don't even know what to call it. I don't even know what to call it. Yeah, it gets the job done, right? You don't want to push through hookah because you have to walk into that, but there's not a lot of wiggle room for Poise to play with inside that pit. I don't think there's going to be much guessing as to where this Viper is.
Yeah.
And it seems like Nilly understands that.
Still not really wanting to contest it, though, so... Yeah, the angle is really small here, the space where you can be hiding as the Viper. Something that we've seen some players try to contest in a situation like this one, but... Or are they going to be more careful about it? 40 seconds remaining here. Rotation call to that A side for the defense.
30 seconds
I think all 3 Seekers dealt with. The general idea that 3 defenders are here with that phase. We're thinking that they were making noise and looking to rotate, but not the call. Orbital Strike trying to slow things down. Zell just going to be split from the squad. Supa finds the first. Dig to grab the next. Zell just only able to get 1 on the site. 3 remain here for OR Esports, but yeah, they're out of time. The spike is down just in front of them, and they're going to back away, concede the round.
They just can't get that space. They tried it on B. But they tried on the A side to get shut down this time around. As the time runs out, they tried on B with a spike down. The time runs out and nothing else that they can do. So once again, FaZe is going to take the lead, and it looks so good once again from Superman. Who gets the first kill into the round is the Orbital Strike. As he gets utilized now for the second time into the half. Just so consistent. I think absolutely an underrated player, but people are starting to notice more and more. And I think part of the reason why he was underrated was just the way that FaZe was struggling for so long to get victories on each one of the matches that they had to play. But Superman is always up there, putting up a fight, making sure that it's going to be difficult for OR.
And from last week to this one, even though we're just getting started, right? 7 rounds done here in map 1. It's nice to see Supa. I said it last week too. It's nice to see Supa coming back to form. Widely regarded as one of the strongest controller players in North America. And Last split, it kind of escaped him. It wasn't quite there, but now we're starting to see it again, feeling that confidence and being able to do so much for the team.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 and 5 here, playing defense. Outside of the kills, right? Looking at the util usage, like you mentioned, that orbital strike in the last round, rounds previous where OR Esports, they're running down the clock and he's placing the incendiary down perfectly.
Yeah.
Where they have to push through it, and that brimstone molly cooks.
Absolutely, and even the smokes here, right? It's so careful making sure that you're gonna have at least one for when that late hit for OR is coming through. That's what really slowed down the push. They went into the last round towards that B side. That last smoke towards long, it just made it impossible to get it through and to go across it. Just a small plays as well that playing a big part for Superman and FaZe.
FaZe is just so ready to receive any aggression from OR Esports with no fear of being overwhelmed. Good shots from Zeldris, though. Super gets one back, but OR Esports finally showing signs of life. Out comes the boombox. The rocket goes up, and Mummy's got no way out. Still, kills being traded.
Spike planted.
Viper's Pit comes down, and that spike has been planted. It'll be difficult here for Tig and Poise to work through the swamp. They don't have a whole lot of util to do it. One flash available. Trailblazer already used. A couple of snake bites to maybe find some chip damage. The vulnerability to help some of this spam. The first flash goes out. Finds absolutely nothing. Viper v Viper. Nilly comes out on top. Now Tig, the last one standing, scoops up the first with 17 bullets left. He finds something more. Oh, almost does it to Nilly. Somehow tracking him down inside the pit, but at the end of the day, we're all tied up once more.
Keeping things close between the two. Once you think is gonna get with a lead for one of them, especially for FaZe, OR is able to answer right back, and the best kind of scenario, even when we get to see that race, trying to create a little bit more space with that showstopper. That shot down with the trade is good enough to clear out that side and clear up close, which is exactly what OR seemed like was struggling with towards the beginning. Guiding light towards showers. Still making call though to play these slow rounds for OR.
Pull cat. Blinded.
Man, Tig's timing with that is... It's everything you could ask for.
He knows.
Ooh, another one. That's not too telling.
Now they know
Jig is
though.
up now, though. Oh, man, just getting run down. Physic will find the kill on his counterpart. Poised is here. They're holding down Mouse 1, finding damage, but only good for one kill. Superman also dealt with and dug out. This B site fully assumed here by OR Esports. It seems like Baby Bay and Mummy just want to give it up.
And everything went down so fast. You could see it even by the guiding light from Tig, that it went all the way to the end of long. Not really expecting that push to be so up close, and when he did, OR were able to find those kills. Last super tier for FaZe, gonna be saving those weapons. That Phantom and that Vandal into the next round, as finally we get to see an OR taking that lead. Maybe even finding the confidence that they talked about. There was a lot of... You know, when we get to see the videos from the players before the matchups, there's a lot of... It's going to be a difficult match. This player's really good. This player... No, but for OR, it was full confidence that they were the better team. That they could really capitalize from how methodical they are into these plays. And it seems like slowly they're getting that confidence into that first map that we're looking at on Bind. FaZe with a timeout.
What's Baby Bay drinking that he's got a milk mustache like that afterwards?
Wait,
Those
what?
those are the real questions that need to be answered.
Very serious.
Very serious. A lot of listening there from FaZe.
Yeah.
Coach getting into the mix. Trying to figure things out. Unfortunately, Supa couldn't get anything for the squad in that round previous. And as much information as they had, like we mentioned, it just caught a little off guard by that second guiding light from Tig, not expecting them to be as close as they were. You would almost think that the Trailblazer reveals the hit, but a guiding light behind it from Physic. And Tig just got run down. Now we go back to it. Same setup for the most part. I'm wondering if it will be needed and when we do see it, but we haven't seen a lot of this solo mission Viper lurk from Nilly at all. He's been with the team for the most part, whether that be them hitting the B site and him playing his way through hookah, or them playing with him and his util out towards A. And this time it does seem to be the call for players. We've been out towards A for now, or Esports give up shower control once more, which means Mum will have that resurrection online.
And the Sid obviously looking about the same with the Vipers. But the Viper will just create and make it through, and that delay on the other side, that it's not going to do too much early on, but you know, they're definitely aware that the players are going to be showers. They heard that orb, and they hear the shots.
Yeah, a flashback site lets you know nobody's home, and then on top of that, as you mentioned, right, you don't fight for showers. This is how you have to play it. A wall goes up so they can't push through U-Haul. Wary of the player showers, they protect the planter. With that ore, Esports back away from it and can play 5 players strong, but they're ready for this. Supa will find the first. No wall to cut off the cross here as Nilly gets back into showers. Jonasix dealt with. Wall goes up on the opposite end. Pancakes kind of trapped within it all, but he's fighting his way out of it. Baby Bay has no way into the fight just yet. Finally, the barrier orb goes down, and the only one that remains is Mummy, who's worked his way through the showers, but could not get into the fight. In this round, a 6th that'll belong to OR Esports.
Massive for RR, massive for Pancakes as well. One of the players that got to hear others in Mummy specifically talking about the impact that he has when it comes to his mood and what he brings to the team. Not only with kills and his own skill, but kind of the extra support that we get to see in that uncomfortable position that you mentioned, right? Because you don't get to clear showers, so now you have to play around it. Pancakes has to be completely surrounded by the attempt of a retake from FaZe, and he just answers perfectly around it. Aggressive here.
Continue.
Very aggressive. This is what we expect from FaZe. Instead, it's just been a passive hold, and OR Esports, they've been finding the right reads. Shrouded step queued up there momentarily. Meanwhile, shower control goes the way of OR, but Mummy still holds down the A site. Finds 2 kills for himself. That still is not enough to have an advantage. Seekers come through. Tig gonna try and reveal. He's playing across the map from his teammate here.
Oh, and on the other side, though, is it 3v2? It should be fine for OR. The timing to get this position, Tig. Nearly waiting for it.
One enemy remaining.
I mean, that's just so tough, right? Tig comes around the corner and says, what the wall doing? Right? He's not expecting that at all. It's just one more thing for him to think about as he clears his way through. I'm pretty sure Nilly had heard the footsteps as he worked his way through Market.
Yeah.
With that kill, there's no way in. Or poised here in this one. I also want to give Nilly a shout for that last round, right? He found that kill inside showers. And when Pancakes was fighting demons on the site, I'm gonna hold that thought. Nilly's here. Nilly will close things out, make sure that weapon doesn't go into the next round for FaZe. But while Pancakes was fighting demons, Mummy came and put that wall up. And then immediately ran back thinking that Nilly would still be pushing through showers. And at that point, Baby Bay's just left on an island, right?
Yeah.
Mummy's going back to clear showers. Baby Bay, the wall goes down, and he's trying to fight from U-Haul, and there's a big disconnect because of, you know, the snake in the grass, or the snake in the showers that was Nilly AZ.
Mm-hmm. And Nearly with so many of these kind of plays, right? And something that we've talked about, a big brain that he is for the side of OR, but also the way that now is being supported by the different roles. Last week it was all about the Sentinels. Now we get to see this Viper comeback. And just kind of play around that util. Always one step ahead, as it seems like, at least for the half. Against FaZe on mine. One more chance here for FaZe to make it to 5. Orbital strike once again for Superman. Third one on the half is gonna be available. And that was something that created that delay that wasted all the time for OR on the attacking side towards B.
Oh, man, and I was thinking, when do we see that orbital strike? I thought Supa, with all those shots being heard out towards Sands, maybe he would send it there. He's been good with the ultimate, but he hangs on to it. And look to make a higher percentage play with that ultimate.
Cover going out.
Oh, I'm waiting around the Pancake's scary position here, but here's the steps. Knows that there's some movement around the hookahs. You got to spot a couple of the players. Like you said, yeah, the patient too for Superman. When the ultimate is gonna get used because of how slow these rounds have been for OR.
30 seconds left.
And this fake completely sold here as Supa does eventually get 2 kills. A resurrection means Tig is back online. And a player ahead, but on the wrong side of FaZe Clan.
Initially, it was a race for soldiers that got all that space early on that A side. Could not spot anybody, and so calls everybody else. Calls Jonah 6, get that spike planted, and now looks so much better for the post plant.
Oh, Zeldris. Beautiful timing there for Zeldris. Evens the odds. A difficult situation. A while to work through it will eventually go down, but FaZe are now running out of time. They're just going to have to work their way through the util, and there's a couple more corners you have to clear. The first one goes unchecked, and Dota 6 just mows them all down.
And you have to check right, you have to check left as well, because you know at least one of the players should be positioned towards showers, but a Sage gonna take care of it just fine for OR. Jonah 6 going massive for it, making sure that not even the kills are gonna be a chance for the side of FaZe. Really good on the patient nonetheless throughout. Everything that we saw from OR, a little bit of slower start, really trying to find a timing into how they could bait that heavy util that was being sent into the chokes. And after that, it looked much more comfortable. Even for this last round when they had to get that space into it, it seems like it was so easy and always part of the plan for OR. Pretty good lead here in map number 1.
Off to a great start. And now they get to expect the heroics. We'll see if they match or fight on some of these close angles for now here in the pistol. FaZe want to go fast. OR want to receive. Good stall for a second. Baby Bay going to tuck into the corner. Was vulnerable for a moment. He will get healed up. Paint shells are out in this B site. Under fire completely, and Nilly's undetected for now. Right click onto one, but it's traded right back. Visit gonna try and work his way back into the fight as well, as FaZe are here, but util surrounds. Poised, waiting for the jump out. Spike planted. But there's really no way out for these players in the middle of the site.
Yeah. Very similar to what we saw in the first pistol. All the other way around though, as a couple of them get spotted towards hookah for this defense.
And good paranoia. Jumping out. OR find the first couple. Supa still alive, though, and that means you still have problems. Take to grab the next, going up over the top of Supa. Fighting demons here on the site. Then he falls just short. And the pistol, it belongs to OR Esports.
And Pancakes again for it. In a 1v1, Superman gets the first one, but the other one on the complete opposite side, turning around and not having enough time to get the kill. Really good for Pancakes, and that's when we get to see kind of the head and the patience for OR playing off just a little bit more. Get that pistol, turn it into more. Just kind of the round where we see FaZe getting those stingers, but it's not happening right now.
I mean, what's the difference? Stinger, Frenzy, it's all the same. I think this is going to be a big vote of confidence for OR Esports if they're able to close this map out in dominant fashion like this, moving over to split a map that we probably favor a bit more towards FaZe Clan. Obviously, it's not done yet. Guiding Light will not reveal.
If FaZe willing to slow things down into this round. 1 minute remaining. The positioning similar to what we saw in the first half, not really changing for OR, holding on to it. Running light doesn't get anybody on the B side.
Oof, good paint shells. Look at
Spike
that, the
down.
chip damage. Eldris even getting one. Pancakes walks up to find another. Baby Bay there on the trade. Another bit of paint shells come through, and it's the Spectres. Close it out. The read was there for OR Esports. Guiding Light saw nothing out towards long. Trailblazer saw nothing. Nothing spotted from the jump spot from Jonah 6. They were ready for all of this.
One of the things that he talked about as well, it was the confidence that OR really showed they would have against FaZe. And at the beginning, it was a little shaky. It was back and forth. But now, I mean, that is 7 rounds in a row that OR has been able to get. Gotta see how this bonus turns out for them. But double digits for the defense and wanting to play aggressive here.
And taking the fight right to FaZe. Boys here to receive, finds the first, grabs the next, and I mean, this is all you could hope for. They just walk right on into the Vandal, starting to stack up the ult orbs there for Poised.
And Poised knew that that was a possibility. You know that that aggressive push for OR on the defense is on the table. So he plays so far back, gets 3 kills, and the damage has already been done. 2 players live for OR, and so clean with it, Poised. This FaZe, yeah, they make it to 5.
Great round there from Poised. I don't know if Nilly messed up the wall from B that's supposed to go through the teleporter and cut off the showers play. And maybe because that wall didn't get there, that Poised was ready for some type of crazy aggression. Either way, something that we failed to mention, or that I scribbled in my notes in the pre-show, was outside of Physic, I guess the majority of OR Esports, they've kind of bought into this light shield purchase, much like we've seen teams around the world start to do. You see, Zeldris on 1,300 credits, portable by Jonah 6 as well, but light shield is the way right now.
And it's been so good for OR and the teams as well that have introduced and have brought up that idea to secure a couple extra rounds for that economy is not going to be the worst. Gonna increase potentially their chances to closing out close maps. This one could be building up to be exactly that, but not right now. FaZe still behind. 5 rounds. On the attacking side, it is a lot slower to what we're used to seeing.
The best part about it, though, for OR Esports, they were expecting heroism. They're probably expecting the aggressive phase. That
30 seconds left.
What?
All right. That's unfortunate. Just like Pancakes is expecting the team to be right behind this Viper utility, they were expecting something different, but they're still playing perfectly for the way that FaZe is playing, right? Playing their jump spots, making sure that they're doing their due diligence. Now with 13 seconds on the clock, Mummy struggling to get this fight planted. Is going to look to reposition. Spam through the 89 box. It's not quite enough damage. Right clicks later, and well, Pancakes finds a second kill on the round and walks away a smooth criminal as FaZe. They got half the job done, sure, but now they're without half of their team.
Taken down.
No way. Superman? It's a 2v3, still doable. Orbital strikes available.
That'll force him back for now. Taking Supa playing the cross here. Zeldris. A couple of blast packs. Tap on the spike, and it's all up to Supa. This is going to take the ace, and Supa just falls short. Physic will deny. And the round swings in favor of OR Esports.
It's so close for Superman to get the ace 1 by 1. He played it to perfection. But the last 2, the one defusing goes off, gets the kill, and makes sure that that's not going to be a chance.
Taken down.
I mean, that second kill was so clean for Superman. The swings are perfect, making sure that he's not exposing himself to more players than he has to. But it's OR just in time. They get to 11 here.
Wow, Super
So
is
clean.
on fire. You having himself a game. I definitely thought there was a world where we could get double dive from FaZe here, where Baby Bay could play the Jet and Mummy could play the Raze, but different look, and seemingly the only player comfortable is Supa, which I guess it's hard to be comfortable when Pancakes and the rest of the team are doing things the way that they're doing it, right? Physic is tossing out a flash and just running you down and killing you, and Pancakes is inside smokes, both on the attack and the defense, spraying and finding kills, which, I mean, it's just, what can you do? You can't even breathe. As soon as you start to get going here for FaZe, something is there to make sure that it's going wrong.
I mean, even the way that Pancakes got that first kill into the round, insane. They throw that Viper orb after he was jump peeking. You know exactly what's gonna happen. The push is gonna come through, and he sprays and manages to get it with the Phantom. Super consistent on this controller role. On the other side, Superman is putting up a fight, and it is one of the things that you talked about. It's something that you want to see across all teams, is that consistency. Everybody kind of doing their job, everybody getting even kills, right? As 10, 15, whatever it is, and you see that for OR right now. You see everybody doing their part in many different ways, with the util, with the collaborations they have between each other, with the kills too. For FaZe, it's Superman right now, the one that seems the most comfortable. Everybody else trying to catch up. And one of them being Baby Bay, right? After having such a good performance last week onto this race, he's been absolutely struggling to find some space to work with on the attacking side.
And not quite the same value here on Vine. FaZe looking to slam this B side, but OR Esports just so ready to receive 4 kills for Physic. And they completely shut down FaZe Clan.
And that was FaZe quiet for the entire round. There was no noise that was being made. There was no need to call even more rotations. The couple players onto the side were more than enough to take care of it, especially Physic going massive. The support of everybody else. We see the paranoia going in, and I want to see that execute as it attempts to come through, as they throw that util on the backside. OR handle it perfectly. Viper Spit now for FaZe gonna be available to hold onto this map for a little bit longer.
Ooh, that almost a great play coming to fruition there. Zeldris playing off of the jump spot from Pancakes, who now sits inside the poison cloud, expecting somebody to push up, eats the decay, but nobody home.
Nobody to be found. With the FaZe that has been playing really slower than we're used to seeing this kind of team. And the problem with this is the time is running out. 45 seconds. Physic getting all that space towards long. Gets spotted. Oh, he's gonna have to back up, actually. But you already know where the hit is gonna come through.
All of that spotted, and with that, Physic gets that information. The Sage Wall is still up inside Hookah. It just breaks, and by that time, the defense is already rotated over.
Yeah, there were 2 players already making that rotation after Physic gets that first contact. And they're already here.
Welcome to my world.
Ooh, Viper Spit out from Hookah. Jonah 6 gonna fall. The rest of the defense still working their way through as Physic can't quite back away. Nearly just on the outside. Good flash will force him inside the pit, and he'll just get run down. It was quiet until it wasn't. Can they deny the plan? Zeldris tries to hang on for a moment longer, but as the last one standing, he just could not do enough. FaZe Clan will hang on.
And that was the kind of play that it seems like FaZe always had in mind for that round, specifically using the Viper Spit just to get out of Hookah. Ideally, if you get that positioning early on, you use it for that post plan right onto the side, but it's been impossible for them to do so against OR, especially on that B side. So they play it well, they get the kills, and they get one more round here. They get 2-6 for FaZe. Light shields here for them too.
Sky on this map is just so good. Being able to get that early flash through the teleporter, get information out towards showers.
Yeah. You get so much.
Yeah. And both of these guys have been doing so much for their team, both Tig and FaZe, showing proficiency on the pick as a whole. FaZe already using that Trailblazer, not spotting much more out towards B long, but just continuing that jump peek. And it's only been the last couple of rounds where Esports are kind of going against their better judgment, where they're starting to shuffle things up. They will trade spots, that being Jonah 6 and Pancakes. The Sage out towards A, the Omen out towards B. Aggression again. Esports are going to take the fight to FaZe, and they're ready for it.
Oh, and Poise managed to get one kill. The showstopper, no the time for Poise to go massive into it. 4 HP, but that's all he needs.
Stops the rocket from going through. Zeldris gets nothing with that.
30 seconds left.
And, I mean, what are Esports doing? They've completely gone away from the game plan that was working so well, right?
Yeah.
Just playing passively, kind of letting FaZe beat themselves in way of the clock. Now they're going on the hunt as if they feel that they've got pressure on, but they're 6 rounds the lead. This one going to be cut down to 5 once this spike blows, but Esports kind of giving up the last couple of rounds, walking into this slow default style that FaZe has been playing the entire time.
Yeah, and we've seen the forward position for multiple sides here to make them work out, and or at least an attempt for it to work out for OR. But yeah, like you said, going away from that game plan that they initially had, just holding on to it, waiting for that util. Even when we got to see FaZe towards B long, in some scenarios, just a little more risky than OR would like to play and have so far feel comfortable playing. So a couple rounds that they have to pay for it.
One enemy remaining.
Just trying to close it out. And you gotta be wondering if that is actually what is going through their minds. Kind of trying to close out this map, trying to, you know, make sure that you can go next, go split. Try to close out this series with the advantage that OR could get into it. But because of that, you stop playing your own game, and it's something that teams absolutely struggle to do. Just kind of that anxiety, that pressure to close it out. Now into an eco round here. Yeah, because sometimes they have to play back. Physic. Spots some players with the guiding light, then with the jump peak, and eventually having to back up.
Destroyed.
Poison's off.
Zeldris still posted with the Marshall here, a short. Viper util goes up. That calls for the swap over to the classic. Boombots out, paint shells to try and deny the push here. It'll split the team up once more. Quick damage again. Poise gonna make sure that nobody pushes through hookah for free. A lot of respect given from FaZe Clan to make sure that they can secure this round. A wall to keep them safe. And there's not a lot of options for our Esports to break this one down. Oh, that hurts.
Oh, that's a way to start it off. Rest seems like it's gonna come through here for BBB. Already knowing this positioning though, the aggression once again out for OR on this retake is a lot better.
Literally nothing to lose here from OR Esports, so they're just gonna try and do their damage best they can. Blast back down on top of the spike. Zeldris finds a 3rd kill on the round, but a resurrection means a few still stand. FaZe, they're starting to fall by the wayside as Baby Babe fights back. 3 kills of his own, looking for a 4th. Now it's all up to Supa, who's playing the util game. 2 players to run him down. A tap on the spike. They've bought out the ultimates. The round, it belongs to FaZe, but at what cost? A 4th kill picked up from Zeldris. And this map continues.
But it gets closer and even scarier for OR, as they've had this map point for quite some time now. 3 rounds in a row. And a chance where I saw Zeldris just getting them all and closing it out. But of course, Superman was playing all the way back, waiting for that time and using that over to strike. Making sure that FaZe, they get to stay on this map for a little bit longer now. Baby Bay that on the first half was a little bit more quiet is also stepping up to the play. Showstopper going to be available from him. To create that space that has been part of the reason why that default is seen so often by them. Clearing out the side going to be a lot easier here. Oh, Pancake's going to get spotted too.
Not quite taken down. Baby Bay gets ripped out of the sky. No showstopper this time around as another player falls. That being Tig pushed aggressively inside U-Haul. Pancakes make quick work of that. Paint Shells looking to do some damage onto Supa. Gonna force him off the spike. A slow orb on the other side, but denial from OR Esports.
The spike there never got planted, right? It seemed like all that space was finally for FaZe to take, but the first kill going Baby Bay, and the next one's continuing to go the way of OR Esports, leaving Mome and Superman alone.
And FaZe know, right? They have to find something. Pancakes won't allow it. Supa now has the world on his shoulders with 30 seconds.
30 seconds left.
He has the spike. He has an out in the teleporter. He's going to opt in to stay in here on the B site. Resurrection, hit, blast packs. So much available. Or Esports, and they give him nothing. This drop will be heard. 12 seconds on the clock. Fizz going to come around the corner. The rest of the team still hanging out. Supa finds that second. Here comes Eldris, and he'll close it out. 13-8 is where we land. As OR Esports get it done in map 1.
And he got pretty close in that second half of FaZe. Already just with a total task that they could not recover from right at the end. And OR just stayed on top of the game. After maybe the fourth round where we really stopped seeing the back and forth between the two teams. Looking pretty clean on Bind. And that is one of the things that we were talking about on the desk. An OR that always like playing this Bind, and an OR that comes from the open qualifier, which meant they had to play a lot of matches on this map right before it went away. So it is a map that they're comfortable with. And for FaZe, it wasn't really the same. There were some right ideas. The execution, it was a lot harder for them to get the value of. So OR, they get the map pick.
Proficiency here on Bind. Signs of life there at the end of the map for FaZe, but it just was not quite enough. And I do still have that question, right? FaZe call a timeout, or Esports, they completely change up the way that they're playing the defense. And I'm wondering what made them think that way. Did they feel like they needed to put the pressure on FaZe? They're 6 rounds ahead, and you know what they were doing was working. But at the end of the day, a win is a win. They get it done 13-8. So a fairly one-sided affair for OR Esports. But as we mentioned at the top of the series, Dryad, Split is a good map for FaZe, and it's one that's looked a little rocky for the other side. That's going to be map 2, and that's going to be right after this short break.